So today I want to have a little talk about overlanding. So kind of the word overlanding or overland, the misuse of the word in North America, and why that misconception is there, kind of what it is, what it has been, what it will be, and a little bit of kind of verification of those things. So my short definition of overlanding is vehicle codependent travel. So when we say vehicle can be anything from 2 feet and a heartbeat, all the way to $3 million 6-wheel drive Kenworth camper system or Unimog. And anything in between. It can be, it could be a donkey or a horse or a camel or an elephant or a wagon behind any of them. It could be a bicycle or a motorcycle or a three-wheeler or an ATV or a side-by-side or a Jeep or a truck or, anything. Any type of vehicle that gets you moving can be used for overlanding. So, and when I say codependent travel, what I mean is you're dependent upon the vehicle and the vehicle is dependent upon you. So in North America, we see a lot of people, rock crawling and camping, and they're calling it overlanding. And overlanding, to begin with is heavy on the travel. It is not heavy on the off-roading. Off-roading is not a part of overlanding. It's not a necessary part, at least. So you can do off-roading while you're overlanding, but while you're overlanding, your vehicle is your home. So most overlanders do not do heavy off-roading. So, but anyway, so let's get back on track here. So I used to say, buying waterproof matches at a marine store doesn't make you a ship's captain. Well, the same thing can be said about overlanding. Buying a scuttle or going to an overland expo does not make you an overlander. So you have to kind of think about the term, as a pinnacle of terms instead of a catch-all of all terms. So when you look at overlanding, you'd say, well, like overlanding is to the camping industry what ultramarathoning would be to the shoe industry. So overlanding is the pinnacle expression of long-term travel where you have the equipment to keep yourself looked after. So just the same way that I could go to the store and buy a set of sneakers that say ultramarathoner on the side of them, that doesn't make my 240-pound late 40s frame an ultramarathoner. So that type of situation is happening here in the overland, what we call the overland industry now, because it's become a hot word, a catchphrase. So overlanding, you need to kind of think of overlanding as that pinnacle term. So overlanding is, it's leaving your home and making long-term travel, moving your soul and possessions, kind of across the earth. And so when we compare that to camping, what we're doing mostly in North America is touring. So touring, if you watch the Australian television shows or YouTube channels, nobody calls what they do in Australia overlanding. So they call it touring. So, and there are a bunch of, there's a bunch of other terms. There's roaming and vagabonding and nomading and caravanning and RVing and car camping and off-roading and bike packing, and there's expeditions like hunting and fishing and hiking and climbing, and all those things are great outdoor events that we all like to do, and they may happen along an overland route, but they're really not a part of what overlanding is. And just because you might share equipment from one, you might use hiking equipment for your cooking stuff or for your sleeping setup or whatever. That does not make it overlanding. So now, that being said, there's a lot of people in that camping and equipment industry that are using overlanding on their stuff to market high-tech and sometimes expensive equipment that would usually be just used by backpackers or people who needed really light stuff. They're using it to market to people who car camp and tour. So touring is basically overland style travel within your country. So which I think is really what most people are doing. But that being said, there's nothing wrong with touring. That's what I do. I'm not an overlander. Not yet. So someday I hope that I'll be lucky enough to be able to do it. But in the meantime, I do touring. Now, if you're touring in Canada or Russia or, Australia or any of these large countries, the United States, you can tour for a long time. It's not like trying to tour in some small country. Touring in Japan or some of these other countries may get old quick. So between being hard to get away from the cities and seeing the same places so many times. So so that being said, the overland part of it is really about the travel. Overlanding in history, overlanding was about moving people and goods, and so when you either move people by ship. It didn't matter whether you were going to war or whether it was commerce or whether it was relocating villages of people. You did it by boat or you did it by overland. So, the overland trail going through the mountains in California, that's what it was there for. It was not a camping location. It wasn't an off-roading day. It was about packing all your possessions into a vehicle and moving your heart and soul and possessions from one location to another, generally over a very long distance. And, I guess it could be said at the time when that trail happened, when it started and everybody was moving from the East Coast of North America to the West Coast of North America, it was prior to, the United States being one country. So you could say that was the technical definition of overlanding. So because it wasn't within one country, you were kind of leaving one, I'm not even sure what the technical terms for the states were before they were all one country. Anyway, so when you look at that, that's kind of what that was. Now, right here, I'd like to do a quick shout out to two channels that I think do a very good representation of overlanding, both with a little bit of background in Australia. The first one is Grizzly and Bear, and so he's from Australia, and she's not. She's from France. But so Europeans and Australians overlanding and representing it well. And the other one that I'd really like to say thank you to is The Way Overland. So there's a couple from Australia that do a really nice job. They did run into a little bit of trouble in Iran, I believe, but anyway, they're home, they're well, and they just do a fantastic job of representing what overlanding really is. It used to be years ago, it used to be a bucket list of check boxes, of places with the letter M. You had Mongolia, you had the Middle East, you had Mali, you had Mauritania, you had Morocco, and of course the crown jewel, Marrakesh. So anyway, years ago it was kind of funny, but there was a lot of that stuff pictured in what overlanding was, and now I think people realize that you can overland. There's a lot to see in the world. So now, this isn't meant to be pretentious or condescending. It's really meant to be a service. I think it's about time that somebody saves the word overlanding, because it's gotten to be a word that means, pretentious, braggy, rich couple, that likes to show off they're overpriced and heavily marketed off-roading and camping equipment. So, and I'd really like to stop before that becomes the true definition. So, I think we need to get back to a point where we realize that this is about the travel, and it doesn't really matter what people market it as or what they market to you because of it. Overlanding, it needs to be, what it was. Trying to change it into something else is not going to be helpful for the people that do it, or long-term for the people that sell the equipment with the name on it, because it really needs to stay what it was, the pinnacle of kind of travel and exploration. It was an overlander, a person that's going overland is somebody who's kind of committed their life to travel for long distance and long term. So not necessarily for life, but just that this is not a weekend event. This is not a couple of week vacation. This is a long-term travel lifestyle change, and I think there needs to be some respect in that these people are making a heart and soul type change to what they are and what they want to be, and this is not just somebody buying a bunch of expensive equipment so that they can show it off to their buddies. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. I hope it's received in the light that it was meant to be, not to be condescending, but I'd like it to kind of be used to help move this forward and keep it to be what it was, because it would be a shame to see something that that you've aspired to do since a child kind of fizzle out and become something horrible by the time you're turned into an adult. Anyway, I hope everybody enjoys. Have a good day, and we'll hopefully talk to you again. Bye now.